Welcome back. What a discussion we are having. Drought, then floods. And what are your thoughts on this? And I'll be reading your feedback shortly once it's ready. 22422 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak as well. And I'm told we're getting some of your messages already, and I'll be reading them as soon as possible. But first things first, Devolution CS Eugene Wamalwa pronounced himself yesterday on the, long-promised dams that were, in many ways supposed to store water for a day when it's needed, but also to reduce the incidence of flooding in specific areas. And this is what he had to say last night on Newsnight.
I want to assure Kenyans today, as we speak, we have no choice but to construct dams, even the dams that we are facing challenges with, like Aurora and Kimorel. We must find a way of overcoming those challenges so that we build the dams. Because there's no other way of doing it other than building the dams, harvesting the water and storing it. We keep losing the water to the ocean. The ocean does not need the water. We do. So tonight I want to assure you that, Trevor, we are telling our counties they must do their part while we're doing the mega dam project. We must also build the small, medium-sized dams that the counties can do. We have the equalization fund. They can build those dams. We were in Moroto the other day with the president. We visited Kobebe Dam in Uganda. We have our pastoralists from West Pokot who have crossed into Uganda. Our pastoralists from Turkana, they're into Uganda. They're in Kabong, they're in Kodibo, all the way to Moroto. Why have they gone to Uganda? Because we had drought here, we have water in Uganda. So now the president directed us, this here in Kobebe. Chelugui Wamalwa. I want to see one dam in West Pokot, one dam in Turkana, one dam in Marsabit.
But you will still face the same challenge.
No. These are medium-sized dams. What the biggest challenge are the mega dams, where we have displacement, we have compensation, we have legal issues. But the small-sized, medium-sized dams can be done quickly.
How long?
Within a year. We have been given up to June.
So are you promising now that in June we will have
in
those
June,
dams?
We want the president of Kenya, the president of Uganda, to be in West Pokot, to be in Turkana and Marsabit, to launch these dams. We are working around the clock. Once we have this model, Trevor, going into the future, those mega dams that take 5 years, take 20 billion, have all these legal challenges. We might have to reconsider our strategy to go for medium-sized dams that can be done at a lower cost and a faster pace, so that we have, within a year, we have a dam, we have communities benefiting. When we have rains, as we're doing, we're able to harvest the water and save lives and livestock.
Is the proposal to have medium-sized dams the way forward for Kenya? What are your thoughts on this? Let us know. That's what the Devolution CS had to say yesterday. But Patricia, let me come to you and get your thoughts on this. First of all, we've heard him talk about the situation in other parts of East Africa, and one of our panelists here raised the issue of regional monitoring, so because that affects Kenya, and you can talk a little bit about that. But also tell us this: how can weather forecasting, in your view, become more effective as well?
Yeah, thank you. So I think for us, increasing the number of observation stations we have within the country should make it easier for us to give more specific information, which we are already working on as a department. And on the issue of regional coordination, like before we issue a seasonal forecast, we meet with the entire Great Horn of Africa Met stations organized by IGAD. So the forecast that we give is consensus between all those countries. Then we also have a severe weather section within our department that every day holds a conference, teleconference at 12 with Uganda, Burundi, Rwanda and Tanzania to look at the situation. So that helps us to see what is happening in the other countries and how it's likely to impact us. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
And we also have I should have mentioned earlier, in addition to social media and radio, like he had said, we work with all the ministries within the government because we are part of government. And we are also decentralized, so we have county directors within all the 47 counties, and they produce a forecast downscaled from what we produce at the national level, and then also disseminate it to all their stakeholders. So the information is out there to those who really need to use it, and for the public, then it's radio and social media. We are also on Ghetto Radio and Radio Kibra, specifically for informal settlements. And this
so you're trying to get the word out to as many places as possible?
As possible,
How is climate change affecting Kenya's weather patterns?
So according to studies, both globally and even at the local level, as the climate is changing, we expect in the future to have more extreme events. So we will have rainfall falling, intense rainfall within very short periods of time, which in turn will result in the floods, followed by extreme droughts thereafter. So this is what we are looking at under changing climate. Also fewer rain days, but still intense rainfall, and the shifting of the seasons. Like in the past, rainfall used to come on March 15th and mid-October, but now we are seeing rainfall, the seasons are shifting closer to April and even becoming shorter. So this is what we kind of expect with climate change.
It's not a good time to be a farmer. You don't know when to plant anymore.
However, if you listen to the Met, then you can be able to get early information.
You can be able to get early information.
Yes.
Bishop, come in.
Maybe if I can comment about the weather services we have received so far as early warning is concerned. There's a lot of improvement, and Kenya Red Cross, as one of the user agencies, we have really seen improvement in terms of the packaging, in terms of the user friendliness of the information they are giving. The issue here is about converting this early warning into some early action so that we can reduce the risks. And we have had some approaches like during drought, where we are saying now we got focus of drought, but what do we need to do now so that by the time drought is here, then we are better cushioned, or rather the community is better cushioned. So this is where there is a gap in terms of the action bit. But the early warning, as far as weather is concerned, as we think we are getting very appropriate messages from them.
You give him a thumbs up in many ways in terms of you said the packaging and the messaging and the consistency, etc.
User-friendly.
User-friendly.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good way to put it. Bishop, come in. A lot has been said here. I don't know what your thoughts are on this.
Yeah, I do agree that the Met are doing a good job, because from the media and their reports is quite good. But I think what we seem to lack, where there seems to be a gap, is that interpretation of the Met report to action. I think the rate is not quite adequate. We theorize, we talk of policies, we talk about budgets, but you don't see much of this on the ground. And I tend to think that we need to develop a culture, of resilience from the government, because resilience will bring in preparedness, early preparedness and early action, so that people are not caught up on trying to prepare, every year. So I tend to think we need to have deliverables, like the government and the levels of government. Now, this is our problem. And sometimes we talk about statistics, but I want to say some of the statistics are so few. If you had a coordinated system now from the national government, the county government, and also we have very many other actors like the civil society and the NGO, world. If it is coordinated and in a way, these are our problems, and this is the solution, and at any given time, this is the deliverables. This is what we have delivered, and this is what we need to deliver, so that at the end of the year, we don't talk about the same problem. Now, since independence, it's 60 years are going, and we are talking about the same problem. Governments have come in, governments are coming in. But I tend to, what solution? Let's say, for example, we have, of course, some of the people that the county governments who have come to my center, some of them are taking action. Some of the NGOs that have come for benchmarking and training are taking action, like World Vision. And even the government is also, who have come, I remember the Minister of Agriculture came, National Irrigation, they have taken up some damming, small scale, farm funds, nationally. But you see, if as much as they do that, if we coordinated the initiatives and the efforts of so many people with a target, we can achieve our objective. Let's say, for example, I targeted a village, and I said, this is the number of households. And at the end of the day, I expect, to talk about water resilience and food security. We need to have a reasonable number of adapters. And so it was. So it became a success. So we moved to the next village systematically. So one of the things that we lack in Africa is systematic, approach to solving problems. And I think that's what we lack. You can hear the CS, and we have budgets, and we have resources, when we have initiatives. But if we had system, there's one county I won't mention, but we're related with them, and they have a real system, and I'm sure a few more counties are developing systems, like Makueni County. They're having systems of what they are doing. If we have systems, we'll be able to solve our problems. We have resources. We have what it takes to make the change.
But we don't have systems. Now, systems are implemented by human beings, and I guess it's a question of who will stand up in individual communities and begin to champion initiatives like what you're doing. And I'll come back and get a little bit more about what you're doing and how do you plan to expand what you're doing. Is there an expansion plan? Because you started this back in 2006? 2006, 2009. But let me bring in our representative here, Venant, from the Kenya Red Cross. I'm sure as Red Cross, your teams have had chances to look at how disaster and flood management is taken care of either in other parts of Africa or in other parts of the world as well. What lessons would you say your teams have seen out there that Kenya can better learn from? When CS Wamalwa talks about dealing with flooding, can he really talk about it without plugging in proper infrastructure? Can he talk about it without ensuring that there is proper communication across the country? And those are things that need to be looked at holistically by our government, for example.
Thank you, Maura. Yes, we have worked with other peer national societies in other maybe developed countries. And yes, the key message here, the lesson we have learned is about timely preparedness. And in this manner, it is early preparedness. And this goes way further. We are looking at integrating DRM approaches in development. This is for the government, both levels. And where we are seeing large-scale flooding, like we are seeing in Asia, we see that the effects are less by the end of the day because of the resilience and the way the development programs have been done, especially on infrastructure. Infrastructure is more resilient. Type of buildings, they are more resilient to flooding. And this is where we need to sit and ask ourselves questions, because are we just doing midterm programs or midterm preparedness approaches? We really need to do long-term, because by the end of the day, flooding is about managing the surface water flow. And this surface water flow, once it is interrupted, then that's why a flooding comes in. Let's take a quick and near example of Athi River here, just after Mlolongo. We have seen buildings which have come up and interrupted seasonal river routes. And these seasonal river routes, if we get any rain for more than 50 millimeters for 30 minutes, then we get millions of gallons of water, and this becomes very quickly a flooding situation, and it has killed people, we have seen before. So this, we need to go further and look at our development plans and programs. Do they take into account some of these natural disasters?
Yes.
Because
and actually, first of all, tell me this, and let's get into some specifics.
Yes.
In terms of disaster preparedness, if floods are something that a county like Nairobi should prepare for almost every year, you had mentioned briefly when we were off air that things like canoes should now be part of Nairobi County's infrastructure. And it's something Kenyans online have been laughing about. But for you, yes, that's something that you think, for example, Nairobi County needs to invest in, let alone other counties?
Yes, it is very important, because we have used boats here to rescue In 2016, we used boats to rescue Makini school children in South Sea, very near here.
Not even on the outskirts?
No, just here in South Sea. We have also used boats somewhere in Madare. So we have placed 2 boats, and this, again, it's very, very important for flash floods in a city, because all of a sudden we had a lot of concrete everywhere, so there's more water, and then we have also another issue of managing the construction waste. Yes. So it has plugged in most of our water routes, and then so that kind of preparedness, we really need to relook how we are prepared, what we need to put in place, and go to some of these radical measures so that we can be able to respond to this.
Respond. Briefly tell me this before I allow Arnold to also speak. How can local capacity on the ground be better strengthened? When you go out to some of these counties, yes, do you find people are reluctant to evacuate? They are looking to collect their household goods. Do you find that they're able to quickly marshal themselves up with a leader who can give direction? And we've seen this in countries that have earthquakes and so forth, yes, that there are immediate measures once a warning is given out. Have you seen any of that in Kenya? And should there be a budget for that?
Yeah, in Kenya Red Cross, we have quite a number of direct community-related or integrated activities. And where we have managed to put some kind of structures within the community, we are seeing very quick response, because first of all, there is awareness. There is a lot of building of that awareness. So this needs to be put in so that the communities can be able to take advantage of the existing coping mechanisms and resilience, for that matter, so that they can reduce the effect every time. So as a society, we are seeing the county government system, the devolution is a very big opportunity. Because to be able
to build that.
Yes, because by the end of the day, it's not about the government every time. It's about at household level. What are we doing? How prepared are we? Even we are always told to have a very, very simple plan. What we are building awareness after we map the areas which are prone to floods, we identify the families and we tell them to develop a very simple plan of what is the first step do I do, even if it is evacuating. What do I evacuate first? Because we used to see old men evacuating goats first, then they come and pick their children later on, and water is coming. So these are some of the changes in terms of the way we do things in terms of culture
that we need to look,
and awareness. Yeah.
Good. Arnold, I want to allow you to speak, but because I don't want to cut you off, let's take that break. Then when we come back, we start with you again. And so 2242 is the SMS line. The hashtag is Daybreak.